Awesome. Yeah, bro. So, you said that you go to school right now.
Yep. So I'm going to school full time, and I'm also working full time. So I go to GW right here in Washington D.C., and then I also work in real estate in D.C., Maryland, Virginia.
What do you study?
I'm studying international business and real estate. I don't know how useful it's gonna be, but I'm kind of just doing it for the sake of my parents.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. I don't know. I kind of, in a way, I kind of dealt with the same thing.
1 sec, my
You
bad.
good? Drink some of that water.
Yeah.
Show them what's on the. Let them know.
Come on, one straight one.
They got their own water too. Very nice here. But that's interesting, bro, because like I kind of felt the same thing in a way that like I don't really plan on using my degree. I graduated with economics and political science degree, but like I went to school for the sake of my parents and like my younger siblings, and that just kind of like
Kind of,
immigrant
traditional
parents.
route. Yeah, kind of get.
Exactly.
Kind of have to do it, especially if they like left back home to come here for you to go to school. It's like, okay, let me finish it out for their sake. Yeah.
That's good that you are doing it for their sake though. There's some people that are like, fuck it, I'm not gonna go to school. Or like, you know what I'm saying? Because keep it real, you really don't need to go to school where you are right now in life, right? You would say that.
Definitely don't need school.
But let's introduce our guests. What's going on, y'all? My name is Mohammed Sharif. Welcome back to Ghost Talk. Today I got an amazing young man, Omer Reshid, from Washington D.C. DMV area. He's with the One Street Company. And before we get started, we're gonna address something real quick. As you can see, our beautiful bearded man is not here right now. It's just me, Thunder, and Omar. Hamza is not gonna be um, here this episode, but you know he's out doing his thing, mashallah, and we're supporting him. He's in Saudi right now studying the Deen, and he took a big step in his life and his iman, and you know we support him 110%. But don't worry, y'all gonna be seeing a lot more of him, I promise, inshallah. But yeah, bro, he's out there doing his thing, and we're out here trying to keep more episodes coming for y'all. So keep it rolling, keep it going. So you know we got to keep grinding. But it's nice, bro, and big shout out to him. Just let's get back to you, man.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your upbringing. Let's jump right into it.
Yeah.
You said you was born in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
And
So
grew up there. So
actually, spent most of my life in Ethiopia. So born in Ethiopia, raised in Ethiopia. Actually, only moved here about 5 years ago. So I moved to the United States my sophomore year of high school.
whoa.
Yeah, so I'm like fresh off the boat, man. I just got here. So I moved here from Ethiopia with my dad to Baltimore County, Maryland. Was going to school there, Pikesville High. Just planning on taking that traditional route of everyone's like doctor or engineer. It's one of the three. So I was going the doctor route. So it was just going to school, try to get to a good college, go whole pre-med route, go to med school, be a doctor. Just, the whole just a traditional
the whole
route.
9 yards.
The whole 9 yards. So I was doing that for a while. That was the plan. I moved to DC when I got accepted to George Washington University, so I was going to school there for pre-med. So I've been there for 3 years now. So I got there freshman year, thought I was gonna do pre-med, was in my bio classes, all that, but that's kind of like a little bit of the transition. Didn't really end up going.
So you said you came 5 years ago.
5 years
So
ago.
what was that? 2017?
About end of 2016, 2017.
Yeah. So what was it like growing up in Ethiopia? You grew up in Addis?
Grew up in Addis, yeah. I mean, completely different world, completely different lifestyle. Third world country, but at the same time, like I think you've been to Addis, right?
Yeah.
So.
I was born in. So they were kind of connected with that when we were first talking earlier in the car.
Yeah.
That I was also born in Addis Ababa,
yeah.
and I kind of grew up there. But I came much younger.
Yeah.
So I remember like bits and pieces of it, and I remember parts of it.
Bole.
Yeah, getting Bole. Yep. So I mean, it's a beautiful country. Ethiopia is a beautiful country, very rich in culture, very rich in and there's just so much going on. There's a lot of Muslims there. There's a lot of Christians there.
Yeah, it's really diverse, man.
It's very diverse. But yeah, so you said you grew up there, and it was kind of different, and that dynamic was different.
Yeah, I mean, completely different world, completely different lifestyle, but at the same time, there everyone looks like you, everyone sounds like you. It's a community. It's different world, schooling wise, everything wise. But yeah, I mean, it was a complete culture shock moving to the United States, let's go to Pikesville High, which is like a Jewish Pikesville High School.
Oh, wow.
So completely different world, different cultures, different religions. Like just didn't see much of that at home. So I was just learning to adjust, coming to a new country, back to school, back to, just the whole shebang.
Wow, that is interesting, bro. And like, what was that transition like? So you came here, you started high school, you and I, your sophomore year. So like, what was the transition like when you were coming here?
Yeah, I mean, man, it's like the quietest, shyest kid you'll ever meet. I would never do this podcast with you
Yeah.
if this was like, 4 years ago. So yeah, just quiet kid, man, just trying to figure myself out, stuck to my books, kept my head down, didn't really talk to many people, didn't really do much. It wasn't until I started getting a little bit more adjusted, my junior year, senior year, when I really started to go out and do some stuff. I had some great teachers like my Miss Labricio, so really take you in, make you feel comfortable. That's when I kind of like started expanding more, started doing more extracurricular activities, getting more involved in the community. And then I think my senior year is probably when I like spread my wings, started doing stuff I was passionate about. I was huge on education, and I'm still huge on education. I just kind of have a different idea or aspect of what I think is important in education and what I think you need. So I was huge on education because, again, my dad always instilled in me that education is the way to kind of make it out.
East African
East
parents.
African
Yeah.
parent, that's how it is. So I ran for like this position on the Baltimore County Board of Education, where I kind of represented all the students of Baltimore County, so over like 115,000 students. So it was like an elected official position. I won that, so I was a huge advocate on the board. Policy, curriculum, all that. Did that for a while, and then kind of just went to GW right after that when I graduated.
That's interesting. So then that makes me wonder. You had an unorthodox kind of method of like growing up, and you came here really young. I would say like a little bit older than a lot of immigrant kids, because I came here when I was like 6 years old. So like it was easy for me to adjust, right? And then you took these really huge steps in your life really fast. And then you were on the board of education as well. So how much does education mean to you, right? And then also, like while you were being educated, were alternate routes, like being a real estate agent and like selling homes and doing these. Were those things given to you? Were those things told to you, or was it things that you had to go and look for?
Yeah, absolutely not. It was not given to go out and get it. I mean, again, huge advocate on education. I think education is the number one thing to anything you want to do in life, right? I just kind of have a different perspective as to what kind of education is needed. I think we need it, at least in high school. One thing I push, what I advocated for, is educating us for life and not just like for college or for whatever it is. Just because, again, no one knows what credit score is when you're getting out of high school. No one knows how to pay a rent, how to write a check. Just basic life skills that you need to educate yourself on. It's not taught. A lot of like financial literacy, how to manage money, how to do this, just like how to buy a house, just like basic stuff that we really need to know. That's not really being taught. So my education piece of it, again, I still think, obviously school is really important, and especially depending on what you want to do. Again, obviously if you want to be an engineer, a lawyer, you have to go to school, you have to go to college, all that. But I think, again, there's definitely all the alternative routes, real estate, social media marketing, there's so many different things, entrepreneurs, e-commerce, this, that. There's so many different guys and people that have gone out of that traditional route and are doing extremely well for themselves. And I think that's definitely a route to take. It's just we don't promote it enough, or it's not really seen as like the safe route, which again, it's not. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of risk, but my definition on what I think is important education has shifted around for sure.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, well, because like, and I think that our parents' generation have like a very narrow idea of like what education is and what a career path is, but that makes sense for them and that's fair for them because it works.
That's what they know. That's what they. Because again, back in the day, and I completely agree. If you were, in the 1990s or whatever it is, 2000s, having a college education puts you so much higher than the average person that you could go get a job that made sense for X amount, Y amount. Now, having a college education, people are graduating. I have a friend right now who went to GW with me. GW costs $80,000 a year. I think, he told me he's $210,000 in debt for undergrad. He's doing like poli-sci or something like that, like international affairs. You can do the basic math. You go on, Glassdoor or any other site and search up, average salary for, political, whatever his job is, international affairs major person. Let's say it's 70, 80K. you're $210,000 in debt in undergrad. Like it doesn't compare. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense. Back in the day, having a college education put you in a spot where you can go get a high paying job. You're above everyone else. It made sense. You had to go get a college education back then. Now, you really don't.
Yeah, there's a lot of alternatives.
Really don't.
There's a lot of other things that you can do, and that's really dope. I like that a lot. I have these conversations with my younger brother all the time because he's like 17, 18 right now, and he's thinking about it. And it's changed a lot. It's just in the 4 years that I've been in college, because I feel like when I graduated high school, I was it was like on the fence. It's like people were really on that vibe of like, oh yeah, I mean, you could not go to college, but you probably should go to college, especially if you're a black man in America. That was the biggest thing too. Like, oh, you're a black man in America.
You have to be educated.
You got to be educated. You got to go get this. You got to go get that. And of course,
still be educated, but doesn't have to be a college education.
Yeah, exactly. And there's all these alternatives, and I think that's just really dope. And so I think if I can just back up a little bit, where we met and how we met, right? You came to the Growth Conference in Minneapolis, and you flew out, and you were like networking with people and getting to know all these different people. And you spoke as well, and you were one of the speakers. We're going to get into that as well. But what compelled you to just kind of reach out and then come out to Minneapolis and be a part of the Growth Conference?
Yeah, so it's very random. So me and Sal, everyone knows Sal. Me and Sal have been following each other on Instagram and TikTok for quite some time. Yeah. I think we both kind of started our social media journey around the same period. We both kind of saw each other's come up a little bit. He'd always comment on my post. I'd always comment on his. And we DM'd a few times back and forth, like, I see what you're doing, keep hustling type of thing. And we just always stay connected. I always saw his videos, always motivational. He always saw mine. And he posted about the Growth Conference. Yeah. And I literally just commented as a joke, I'm going to be there. Mm-hmm. And then he DM'd me right away. He's like, yo, like, seriously, that you should come through. I want you to be a speaker, talk about, social media, real estate, all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, absolutely, why not? He just told me about it. I was like, I'd love to meet them. Been watching it for quite some time. But you know how, like, you meet someone on social media, you feel like you already know that person. Yeah. So that's how Sal was. Me and Sal, and even when I got to Minnesota, I got there probably around, like, 8 p.m. that night. 10 p.m. like, yo, let's go grab food. Mm-hmm. Pick me up. We grabbed food at one of his boy spots. And it felt like we knew each other for, like, years. So it was very random. That's how I ended up just coming out. But yeah, off of social media, off of TikTok.
Sal's good people's, man. Shout out to him. Shout out to Top Figure, Asia, the Growth Conference. They're going to be having a huge conference next year, inshallah. So absolutely, you guys make sure to go out and check them out and follow them and stay in tune with what they're doing. Was that your first time in Minneapolis?
First time in Minneapolis, yeah.
What was that like?
It was interesting, man. I mean, I liked it. I liked the community and the people that I met. I met some amazing people. Asia, Sal, Top. I met some amazing people, but the city's kind of dead, bro.
Oh, no. Ain't no way he said that.
City's kind of dead.
Well, Missy, who's you with? First of all, the Growth Conference was in St. Paul. Okay. No hate to St. Paul, but St. Paul is like a residential area. Okay. It's not like...
Okay, I was thinking St. Paul too, so maybe that...
St. Paul has amazing food. Yeah. They have but you're trying to have a good time. Yeah. St. Paul is not the spot. Yeah. But Minneapolis, wallahi, genuinely, and I'm not saying this because I grew up in Minneapolis, is one of the greatest cities in the world. Really? And I'll die on that.
Why do you say that? Why?
Minneapolis has everything that a big city would have and has. I'm talking about sports teams, even though they're, what I'm saying, a little bit iffy. Yeah. Sports teams, they have venues, they have good foods, good eats, good sites. Like in terms of work and like opportunities, education, everything it has, but it's not like we don't have millions and millions and millions of people living in our city. It's not like it's getting there now because it's growing, obviously, but especially when I was growing up, it's not congested. Yeah. The biggest thing that it also has is culture. It has huge Somali culture, which obviously I love that shit. That's my shit. But it has amazing Mexican culture. It has Hmong. There's a lot of Hmong people that live in Minneapolis and St. Paul as well. It's like a melting pot. And I'm not gonna lie to you, the white folks in Minneapolis are cool. There's some cool ass white folks in Minneapolis. But next time you come, we're gonna have to show you around.
Maybe I was the wrong people and I was in the wrong side of it.
But Minneapolis is nice, bro. Minneapolis is vibes. What's it like living in DC? Do you guys does like the city shut down because of what the White House is doing or what the president's doing? Does that happen?
I mean, you'll have a lot of like road closures like every day. Like I'm on my way to work and there's like 6 road closures. I'm like,
Because he's driving through there.
Because he's driving through. Or
that is an inconvenience a lot.
Yeah. It really is. Sometimes you're like, bro, I don't care, bro. Just move out my way.
Yeah,
like,
Sleepy Joe, man.
Yeah, Sleepy Joe. Yeah, I mean, living in the city is nice. I mean, you're in downtown, capital of the United States. I mean, it's a great spot to be in. We have some of the biggest companies, industries, politicians out here. So
the food is. I hear y'all got some good food.
We have some really good food. DC, out of nowhere, this past I would say at least like the past 5 years has just turned into this huge like food destination. Like every Saturday, Sunday, everyone's going to brunch, lunch, dinner. Like it's we're pretty known. There's some really good food spots. We'll grab breakfast after this. Check out a couple of spots, but I mean, DC is a nice place to be in, and again, you're surrounded by Maryland and Virginia. So like I was telling you, it's like 1 minute you're in DC, the next minute you're in Virginia.
Exactly. I had no idea. Half the time we was here, we had no idea where we were.
Yeah.
Somebody called me like, "Yo, where y'all at?" I'm like, "Man, I might be in another state.
DC, Maryland, Virginia.
I might be in Baltimore. I might be in. I have no clue. I'm just driving." But that's dope. Another thing that I always think about when people live in like very well known, because Minneapolis is like nobody really knows Minneapolis. Like we go overseas or we go other places, we say Minneapolis. It's either now it's a little bit more because of the protests and what happened with George Floyd and all that. But before it was Mall of America. It was like, you guys got the Mall of America. That's about it. But
see, I didn't even go to Mall of America.
Don't worry. Next time you come, we're gonna get you right. We're gonna get you right. Sure. But is it weird seeing like all these streets that you walk down every day in movies and television? Because DC is in there's like entire shows dedicated. There's a lot of shows in DC. Yeah, dedicated to.
You kind of just get used to it at some point. Like even like the White House or like Lincoln, like a lot of these big like monuments, stuff like that, museums. People are like, oh, like it's so cool having this around you. Like, but after I feel like any city, after you live there for a little bit, it's like kind of just like normal.
It's kind of normal. You kind of check out.
Yeah, it's like whatever, and then like. Unless I'm like, have someone from out of town, I never go to the White House or like stuff like that. Like, I sometimes when I'm taking people out, I'm like, damn, this is so cool. Like, why didn't I come here more often?
Why didn't I come here before?
Yeah, but when you're just kind of like living here, you kind of just you take it for granted a little bit.
Nah, that makes sense. But no, this is a nice place, bro. This is vibes. This office y'all got here is vibes too. Folks can't see, but they got a lion mural over there. It's vibes. So, if we can jump into that too, because I think it's really dope how you got here to 1 Street. Yep. To marketing. You got the hat too.
Sure. Everything.
Let's talk about that. How you got into. First of all, how did you get into real estate? Before we get into 1 Street, what made you go like, hey, I wanna sell homes. I wanna sell commercial spaces.
Yeah. So again, completely random. So like I said, I was going to George Washington University my freshman year for pre-med. I was studying bio. And I was just sitting in my dorm room, and this was mid-COVID, right? So COVID just hit. No one's allowed to hang out. Very few people on campus. No classes in person. It's all online. And I was going through TikTok actually, and I saw like someone talking about like real estate, and I was like, oh, this looks kind of cool. Like he was showing some numbers, like explaining a little bit. I was like, this seems kind of interesting. Let me look into it a little bit. That's kind of when I went to like a deep dive of like what real estate was. I had no idea. Like, there's obviously real estate sales, which is what I do, brokering, and there's development, property management, commercial, resident. There's so many different aspects of real estate and so many different things you can do with the real estate, wholesaling, this, that. But I didn't really know what it was, so that's when I started doing my research a little bit, and it seemed kind of interesting. And I was intrigued because I wasn't fully committed to medicine. Like I was just doing it just to do it because I was a norm. And when I searched up, I was like, let me look into this a little bit. I was like, you know what, best real estate firm near me. And the 1 Street company was the number 1 search result on Google. And I was like, damn, okay. And they were only 0.4 miles away from me. So George Washington University is like right down the street. Yeah. So it's like, oh, this is convenient. Let me check them out. So they're the number 1 real estate firm in the Washington, D.C. area for 9 years in a row. So I was like, okay, these guys are top dogs. And I just started looking into them. I went on their website, their social media. And then I found out who the CEO and founder was, Omer Reshid. And I just cold emailed him. I was like, hey, man, my name's Omer Reshid. I really love what you've done with 1 Street, and I'm really interested in real estate. I'm a sophomore at GW. I'm a freshman at GW right now studying bio. I know nothing about real estate, but I have social media experience, and I would love the chance to come in, do your social media, and work for you for free. All I ask in return is that you teach me about real estate. And surprisingly enough, this man emailed me back again, multi-millionaire, biggest developer broker in DC, emailed me back an hour later. He's like, no one's emailed me like this before. Come on down, let's talk. So I was like, no way. So literally went down the very next day, 9 a.m. I was at his office waiting in the lobby. Didn't come in for a while, just sitting there. And he finally came in, introduced myself. He had no idea who I was. He's like, who are you? I was like, oh, I'm that kid that emailed you. And he's like, oh, you're actually here. He's like, I have nothing to do. I have nothing planned out, but you can just come sit in my office. We can hang out. You can see what I do. I was like, yeah, absolutely. That sounds great to me. Hanging out with a multi-millionaire. I was like, oh, absolutely. This is great. And I just sat there and I was just watching this man work. Mm-hmm. He was getting literally, I'm not even exaggerating, about 100 calls a day, 1,000 emails, replying to every single one, whether it was a rental lead for $1,000 or a $2 million, listing. He was treating everyone the same. He was there to help people, provide real estate service, anything anyone needed real estate wise. He was there to service them, give them a 5-star service, help them. And I kind of saw why he was the way he was and the big name that he is, because he was doing the work, he was helping people, but at the same time, he was making a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Like a shit ton of money. So I was just like, I have no idea. I didn't really understand what he was doing, but like.
What are you talking about? What was he talking about? Yeah, so you were just there until you were...
Yeah, I was literally just there at his office from like 9 a.m. to 10 p.m., whatever he needed. But again, I learned more throughout my time at that internship and with my mentor than I have ever in my entire life. Those 9 months changed my entire life. Again, I would have paid to be there. Mm-hmm. And I always tell this to everyone on my TikTok, on social, anywhere, anytime I meet someone that wants to get into real estate. Best thing you can do, any industry you want to get into, whether you want to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, entrepreneur, marketing, real estate, whatever it is, any career, find a mentor, someone that's doing what you want to do, and literally just learn from them, because the best way you can fast track your success, 10x. I learned so much at the time, but at the same time, you have to bring some sort of value to them, because why would they just want some random kid or whoever around them or teach them? Again, a lot of people even charge for mentorships, and sometimes it's worth it, but I was a broke college kid and have the money to pay for it. So the best next thing that you have if you don't have money is your time. So provide your time, provide value. So I provided that value by doing social media work for him, doing whatever he needed. So those 9 months I learned an insane amount about real estate, how it worked, the processes. And he was like, you know what, Omar, I think you should get a real estate license. I think you would absolutely kill it. I was like, okay, got my license literally a week later. 2 weeks later, he handed me my first client. A month after that, I had my first sale, and then it just took off from there. This was around May of 2021, sorry. So May 2021, I got my license. By June, I had my first sale. And then after that, for the next about 6 months or so, I did about $5 million in sales. That was around 12 families that I helped buy and sell real estate. And then now we're in 2022. This is my first full year technically in real estate. And right now I think I'm about 19 million in sales. Hopefully we'll hit the 25 million mark by the end of the year. So that's kind of like the story of how I got started in real estate. Was found a mentor, interned for about 9 months, and then I just took it from there.
Man, well, I love that. And a few things actually about what you just said. So the first thing that I kind of learned from that is make yourself accessible as a person, right?
Absolutely.
Put pride to the side, which is something that we touch on a lot.
Put your pride to the side,
on this show. Is like putting your pride aside and being accessible and being like, yo, I get that, I might not know what you want me to do yet, or I might not have money to give you, or I might not have anything, honestly, but you made yourself accessible. The second thing that you did, which was amazing, was that you used your strengths to your advantage, right? You didn't know anything about real estate, but you were like, hey, I know a shit ton about social media, and I can help you with that, and you brought value, right? And which is something that we talked about earlier too, is like bringing value to whatever that you're doing.
Exactly.
And doing that, and then having the work ethic to back it up.
That's all it is.
You was there from 9 to 10 is like you're hustling.
90% of it is just showing up, just being there. And that's one thing too. A lot of these older guys that are, millionaires in whatever industry they are, they have the money, they have everything, but they would love the chance to get back, to mentor, but they want to see someone that has the hustle, the drive, that's actually going to do the stuff. So when he saw me coming in every day for 9 months straight, from 9 a.m. to whenever he left, That's it. He knew I was committed. He knew there was no joke. He hired me at his company right away. I'm not treated like every other agent. He gives, like, you know what I mean? Like, we have that connection. We built that relationship. And
it's beautiful.
That's it. Like, so when they see your hustle, the drive, everyone's willing to help. They just got to see that you're willing to do it. Because again, the amount of people that probably reach out to him, even after I started, even after I was an agent, even to me personally, like, the amount of people that reach out to me for mentorship or advice, and I'll tell them, okay, do this, and come back to me. 99.9% of them won't get back to me. They're not going to do it. It's all just, they like the aesthetics of it. Because again, real estate sounds so fun. It's the new hype, entrepreneurship, real estate. It's like, oh, it looks so cool. People will see close lines on my Instagram, whatever. They'll see like a lifestyle, like, oh my God, this looks like the best thing to do. But then you're working 24/7 on a Sunday. I'm working at 12 a.m. It's like, they don't see the hustle and the work that goes behind it. But it's all about having the work ethic, man. If you have that, I think you can dominate anything that you want to do.
You can do anything, yeah. Well, that's beautiful. And on this show, we give people their flowers. So I don't know. I'm not really into real estate. I like, too. I kind of learned as much as I could about it, and we'll get into the details of it, and just kind of giving people advice on home ownership and why that's important. We'll get into that, inshallah. But I don't know the margins and like how crazy it is. But for me to hear millions of dollars in sales for the first year and the first 2 years, that's amazing, bro. That's beautiful, mashallah, about it. And for that to happen, it's a testament to your character, right? And your work ethic. And giving your flowers is an important thing. It's a thing that we do in this show, so congratulations on that. Another conversation I want to touch on is, like you said, this craze about entrepreneurship and then not understanding the work ethic that goes into it. And then on top of that, the conversation that we had about courses, and kind of the stigma that's now been surrounded by it, because of how oversaturated how oversaturated it's becoming, right? So just kind of touch on that, like, what do you think? First of all, are courses a valuable source? Is it a valuable thing to take?
So absolutely, I would say yes. You can learn more about any industry. You can literally take a course, and the next 6 to 7 months, if you implement that course, you can turn into a millionaire. I absolutely believe that. There are courses out there that do that. I've taken courses that have changed my life, whether it was just even communication courses. There are courses that you can learn so much from, and there's so much value in it. The issue right now I have with courses is there's a lot of people on TikTok, social media, as you know, that are literally just selling a course to make money. You know what I mean? They are fronting a lifestyle. It's easy. I can go to a car dealership and test drive a Lambo and pretend like it's my Lambo, and that people, oh my God, he drives a Lambo, so he must be killing it in sales or whatever he's doing. There's just a lot of fake people that are selling courses that again have brought down like the validity of having a course. So again, I just say be really careful as to who's the course you're getting it from and what course it is. But absolutely, you can learn so much from courses. You can learn everything you need from one course that you would learn in 4 years of college or whatever it is. I absolutely believe that, but it's just finding the right person to get that course from. But other than that, I definitely think you can get a lot of value from
Is there ways to vet it? Is there a way where I know, hey, this is a trustable source or a trustable course? Or it's just like,
just kind of do a deep dive research on that person, Google them, check them out, see if there are some real articles on them, this, that. Like if it's like someone in real estate, I can tell easily if someone's fake or I can go on their Zillow profile, see how many sales they have, home snap, this, that. And it's like, since it's my industry, I can easily tell. But certain industries like e-commerce guys, like it's so easy to like fake your numbers on your revenue, whatever, and your profit margin is so low, but it make it seem like, what I mean? There's ways to make it seem like you're killing when you're not, and it's really hard to vet those. But again, it's just kind of just playing it by the book, feeling it out, seeing what other people have experiences with that course or if they've taken that course, and just going from there. But you can learn absolutely a lot from courses. But honestly, even more than courses, I would say the best thing for you to do right now if you want to make a lot of money or you want to get into a certain industry is just read. Read books. I didn't touch a single book when I was in high school or in college. No, seriously. So, but it wasn't until I started interning with my mentor, and this man's reading like 3 to 4 books a month. A month, and I'm like, why are you still reading? You've already made it.
You're up already.
Stop reading. But he just and it's not just like entrepreneurial stuff, but just like communication books, like lifestyle books. You learn so much from this, and again, I'm not saying non-fictional books. I'm not a huge fan of non-fictional books because fictional books, just because again, you can read Harry Potter and cool or whatever, but I'm talking about like entrepreneurial books, business books, you know, sales books, communication books. Rich Dad Poor Dad was the first book I ever read, changed my entire perspective on money, cash flow, all that stuff. Richest Man in Babylon, how to talk to people, how to win friends and influence. There's just so many books that you can read that will literally just change your life. And I feel like reading is probably the number one thing you can do right now if you want to get into a specific industry.
Wow, that's beautiful. I think the work ethic has to be there. I think reading is very important, and like reading gives you perspective. So for me, like just acting, right? I'm an actor as well. It was a very interesting like moment in my life where I'm on my first set and I'm acting in my first movie, and I was reading Matthew McConaughey's autobiography, Green Lights, and like you don't even have to be an actor for that book to like
make sense and
really like impact you. But I think that when you are an actor and he's in there and he's talking about his struggles with being an actor,
so you relate to it.
You relate to it so much, and it almost plays out in your real life, and it creates a kind of a flame for whatever passion that you have.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a beautiful thing. And you, mashallah, have a lot of passion for real estate and what you do. What I would want to know is what is your favorite part about it? And like not even in a generic way, but in a very nuanced, specific way. What's your favorite part about doing this job?
Honestly, I love real estate and what I do because of the amount of people I connect with. Every day it's a different story. I'm waking up today and it's not going to be anything like yesterday. I wake up tomorrow, I'm meeting, you know, an accountant that's moving from Florida, wants, you know, a 6-bedroom house for his huge family, this, that. I learn about his story, connect with him. So I would say the relationships is the best part about it. The relationships I make with so many different people, so many different industries. Right now I'm working on a commercial deal where DCG, it's like a halal. Do you know what halal guys? Do you guys have halal guys?
I love halal guys.
So it's like a halal guys.
We love halal guys. We love halal guys.
So
this guy.
So I'm more of a DCG guy, which is kind of like halal guys, right? I'm gonna take you guys there for lunch today.
Okay, DCG.
It is amazing, and it's the same concept, kind of like rice, chicken, hot sauce, white sauce, and it's amazing. So I'm helping him find a new spot in Washington, D.C. We just found a spot on M Street. But when you're doing commercial real estate, you learn so much about other businesses. Like I'm going through his financials for his business, how he operates. So you just learn so much from so many different people. So I think to narrow it down, the relationships is the best part about being in real estate.
Yeah, and you have to be, I would assume, very good at communicating with people and understanding people.
Absolutely.
If you're gonna be dealing with people,
that's 90% of your job is just connecting with people, communicating. Because again, if a person is trusting you, honestly, one of their biggest financial decisions in their entire life, their biggest investment, their home, if it's commercial, whatever it is, you have to, you know, make them feel comfortable. You have to feel trustworthy. They have to feel that kind of connection with you to where, okay, this guy is really going to help me get the best deal on my home. He's going to take me throughout this process from Y to Z, whatever it is, and really take care of me. So yeah, you really have to be sociable. You really have to connect with people. Again, I was like I told you, when I first came here, I was not a social person. I think everything is learned. I read some great sales books that really helped me, being around the right people, my mentor, stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely think you have to be a sociable person and communicate with people, connect with people. And that's one thing I tell everyone is on my TikToks, wherever, is learn how to talk to people. If you can talk to people, I can walk up to a random person on the street today and I can have a 5, 10, 15-minute conversation with them, get their contact information, and go about my day. If you can do that, if you can connect with people, if you can talk to people, you can do anything, literally anything. Yeah.
So you're on TikTok as well.
Yeah,
I'm assuming you're not doing dance videos.
No, unfortunately not. No, it's more just like real estate content, you know, educational videos on how to get into real estate, but then also how to invest in real estate, how to buy your first home, this, that, just educating mostly.
So realistically, how much opportunity has social media brought to you, and how important is social media just for you?
Yeah, I mean, look, social media is huge. If it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't have learned about real estate, right? I wouldn't have known what it was or even being intrigued in it. If it wasn't for real estate, social media, I would have never met you, because I would have met Sal. It all kind of comes back to social media. But I think social media is like back in the day, they used to say, you know, if you have a business or you're a brand or whatever it is, if you don't have a website, you don't really have a business, right? You need a website to run your business and be legitimate, whatever it is. That's what social media is now. 2022, if you don't have a social media account, especially if you're a business, it really is taking so much back from your potential. Mm-hmm. The amount of people that I've met is ridiculous off of TikTok. Like Sal, bunch of huge real estate people in LA, Miami, Seattle. Like some of my closest friends today I met off of TikTok about 2 years ago. Aiden, Dylan, Charlie. There's so many guys, Maher, like so many guys I met. Dallas. They're all in different areas. We linked up in Miami and LA a couple of times, and we've built such a strong relationship. We're going to New York next month. Like TikTok can bring so much connections and so many relationships that it's ridiculous. Social media in general, because again, how the hell else would I connect with you in Minnesota while I'm out here in DC? And again, social media is just huge. And I think if you use social media for the right purposes, which is creating content, marketing yourself, your business, it's huge. Obviously, social media can be really bad.
Yeah.
It can be detrimental.
There's always the two sides. There's always the
Absolutely.
two sides.
It can be draining, but at the same time, I get a lot of business from social media. People see my TikToks, my Instagram, they hit me up, hey Omar, I'm looking to sell my house, I'm looking to buy a house. So social media can be huge if you use it the right way.
Yeah. Man, so for me, if we can get into home ownership and all of that, I think just growing up, I grew up in Section 8 housing, like in the apartment, and like home ownership was never a thing that my parents thought about.
Yeah.
And I really want to touch on is the two biggest reasons. Obviously, one was finances, and financially, it first of all, it wasn't ever really made accessible, right?
Yeah.
Especially for Black and brown communities, like home ownership and like the ways to finesse a home and to get a home and dealing with the bank and all of that, like it wasn't made accessible, right? And the second biggest thing is interest. Right, it's a huge thing that like, so my parents, Muslim parents, like I don't want to deal with it. I'm not dealing with interest. I don't want to touch interest, and banks deal with interest, so I don't want to have anything to do with it. So I'll just rent forever, and that's commendable, right? I right now I'm 22. Like in my mind, even now, even though I am a little bit more educated, and I do have a little bit more access to it, I'm thinking about how am I going to get a home where I have to have a mortgage and the mortgage has 15% interest or 10% interest? And correct me if I'm wrong, I have no idea what the interest rates are. What am I going to do when they ask for a $30,000 down? I have $30,000. You know what I mean? So first of all, how important is home ownership to a family in America?
So very basic, just starting off, home ownership and just real estate in general, just to keep this in everyone's mind and perspective, real estate has made the most millionaires in the United States. Real estate is the number one way to grow your wealth, to have generational wealth. This is set in stone. It's well known. Real estate is key. Home ownership is the start to that. Home ownership is literally the number one way most families can create wealth, generate wealth, pass it down. Ownership is key. Like right now, and people make it seem, and again, the accessibility seems so far out, so far-fetched. People think you need 20% down to buy a house. It's not true. You can literally go buy a house today with 3% down. So just to give you a quick math, let's say...
So quickly, where does that 20% misconception come from?
It's just a misconception that it's, again, the education piece. That's why we're huge on education, right? This is where the education piece comes in, and we don't really hear it. We don't talk about who do we really have in the real estate community that's going to come out, talk to us about, the different programs out there, I can literally show you how to buy a house with $0 out of your pocket. I've had clients... literally, not even capping. I had a client about maybe 2-3 months ago. This was in August.
No money, zero down.
He brought $1,200 to buy a $250,000 house. $1,200.
What?
Literally $1,200. So there's
I got
so
600.
many ways.
You got 600. Let's buy a house right now.
No, I mean it's actually so doable. It's just actually being able to go through the process and having that education piece. That's it.
Yeah.
If you have the education, so literally you don't need 20% down to buy a house. That's not true. You can buy a house with as little as 3% down. 3% down on, let's say, what's the average home in Minnesota?
Homes are expensive, bro.
Give me a number.
$500,000.
$500,000. Okay.
Is that no? I don't know, man. I live in the ghetto, man. So I don't even know what these houses.
Average,
For $500,000, I go to this guy's neighborhood. I should be like,
let's say you're trying to buy a $500,000 house. People would generally think you need 20% down, which is $100,000. Who the hell has $100,000 sitting in their bank account?
Nah, nobody.
Right?
Yeah.
It makes it seem so far fetched.
And
You
that
see that number and you're
$100,000,
done.
that $100,000, not to cut you out, it's just has to be cash.
Yep.
Okay.
So $100,000 in your bank account, traced money, can't be credit cards or anything like that. No one really has that.
Oh, that's
But now if I tell you, $500,000 house, you only need 3% down, and it's only $15,000, that seems more doable. I think you can save $15,000 over a course of, a year or so. It's really not that hard. But compared to $100,000, completely different story. So again, that's just one thing. You can buy a house as little as 3% down. The only thing is when you put 20% down, the perception and the misconception that comes with having 20% down is when you don't do 20% down, there's something called PMI, private mortgage insurance. So if you do anything less than 20% down, banks require you to have PMI, which is like an additional cost to your monthly payment.
Yeah.
And people think, oh my God, I'm not having PMI, no way. It's literally about $30-$40 more to your monthly payment. So would you rather wait to save $100,000, which is probably gonna take you forever if you ever even get there, or go get a house with as little as 3% down and having $30 added to your monthly payment?
I'd rather do the $30 monthly payment.
It's nothing. It really doesn't affect you. And then once you hit the 20% mark, so let's say you go through your mortgage, you're paying off, and you have hit 20% to where you have 20% equity essentially in the property, the PMI goes away, right? So it's, again,
so you paid off 20% of that $500,000.
Exactly.
And that's what. So explain what equity is.
So equity is basically what you owe on the home
minus
what it's worth now. Okay. So now let's say my client just bought a house yesterday, right? And we, again, in this market, everyone's like, oh, it's a horrible market to buy it. It's a perfect market to buy it. When everyone's scared, that's when you should be buying. Yes, obviously rates are a little bit higher, but now you can actually get home prices at such a lower value. So there's this house, it's in Bowie, Maryland. It was listed for $465,000.
Yep.
I negotiated the deal down to $400,000. He got the house for $400,000. The bank just did an appraisal yesterday. An appraisal is basically someone that comes and tells you what the house is worth. We did an appraisal on the house. It just came back. The house appraised for $452,000. He got the house for $400,000. So he's basically walking already into $52,000 worth of equity. So let's say things get better, the market cools down. He could go ahead and on the flip side, in maybe 3-4 months, 6 months or so, sell that house for $452,000 and make $52,000 in about 4 to 5 months.
Wow.
My sister, and this is giving a personal example because I don't want to talk about specific clients, but my sister bought a house about a year ago, mid-pandemic. Everyone's like, the housing market's gonna crash. Don't buy a house. This, that. I told my sister, look, trust me, you're buying a house. I'm not about to letting you keep renting. You can afford it. You have the credit score. You have everything for it. You're buying a house. This is mid-pandemic. Everyone's freaking out. Worst time to buy a house.
The world is ending.
World's ending. Made her buy a house. We bought the house for, I think it was around $500,000. Today, her same house, I could sell it for $590,000.
Whoa.
In a year, she's made $90,000 worth of equity. Where the hell can you make that kind of money?
Doing absolutely nothing.
Doing absolutely nothing. That's the power of home ownership. The equity you can build, the appreciation that comes with it is, again, let's say your property appreciates at least 10% every year. Even go on the lower end 5%, that's still a lot of money. And again, if you're keeping these homes for over 5 years, 3 years, you're gonna, anytime you sell your house, I always tell this, you're either gonna most likely make money off of it. You're gonna make a decent chunk of profit. Because again, I've had clients that bought houses in 2020 when I first started, around the time I started, are selling now 2 years later, and they're walking away with a huge chunk of money. Either that, or you're gonna break even and you're gonna have lived for free for the past 3 to 5 years. Very rarely will you see that you lose money on real estate, in real estate. It's very rare. Over the long term, it has been proven time over time, real estate will make you money. If you're trying to sell...
Is there a cost for someone to come from the bank and do the appraisal?
No, so that's required.
If I could so his question was, is there a cost for someone to come from the bank and do the appraisal?
No, so when you buy a house, you have to go through a lender, who gets you the financing for a house, the loan for the house, the bank essentially, to protect themselves they always do an appraisal because they're not going to give you money based off of what you want to pay. Let's say, because they want to know the house is actually worth what they're lending you. So to protect themselves, not even you, they'll send out an appraiser, which costs $400. They'll send out an appraiser to come appraise the property and tell you what this property is worth. Then based off of that, they'll lend you the money. So let's say you offered $500,000 to buy a house, and the bank sends out an appraiser and says, hey, this house is only worth $450,000. They're not going to give you $500,000. They're only going to give you $450,000 because they want to protect. They're not going to. Why would they give you more than what the house is worth? Because let's say you stop making payments, they have to go to foreclosure, they take the house back. They want to be able to sell the house right away and not have to worry about it, right? So the appraisal is $400, but typically the lender and the bank will pay for it. We'll get it done for you essentially. But yeah, there's just so many things. You know, you don't need 20% down to buy a house. You can buy it with as little as 3% down. Fastest and best way to create generational wealth. Again, it's long. It's not quick money, obviously. It's a long-term game. But again, as long as you're staying in a house for at least 3 to 5 years, which is a typical average timeline that a U.S. citizen or American stays in a house, you're probably going to have appreciation, and you're most likely going to sell it with profit in your pockets when you sell it.
Wow.
So again, real estate and home ownership, and again, we don't really get this type of education. I know I didn't. I know my parents still rent. I'm trying to get them to buy a house by the end of this year. You know what I mean?
You're like, come on, let's buy a house, guys.
Come on, we're literally buying a house. So again, and this is why I'm telling you, like, the education piece of it is so huge. Like, if we learn about credit scores, having a 740 credit score, or even a credit score over 700 is worth more to me than having $100,000 cash in the bank.
Why do you say that?
You can do so much with good credit. If you have good credit, you can literally go out and buy a car with zero money down right away. Just prove you right away. Here you go. You have good credit. Go buy a car. If you have good credit, you can be approved for so many different loan programs. Like a conventional loan, the 3% I was talking about, you have to have a decent credit score for that. I think it's above a 640 or more. 700 plus, you're solid.
Gold.
Like I told you about a little bit about, you know, different programs to where you can literally buy a house with no money down. There's something called an MMP program in Maryland, and every state has their own different program. I'm sure Minnesota has one if I went and looked it up. And this is honestly best advice I would tell someone. If you're looking to buy a house, go on Google and search up programs in Minnesota, in whatever state, in DC, in Maryland for first-time home buyers.
And these are state programs,
most of them are state programs, MMP loans. DC, there's like HPAP. And most of this is literally free money for you to go buy a house. They'll give you down payment, cost assistance. Sometimes they'll give you closing cost assistance. There's this loan program. It's actually nationwide. Look into it. It's called NACA. It's not my favorite loan, obviously. There's a lot that goes into it. But you can buy a house with no money down, no closing costs, and all they require is you to kind of go through the course that they have. You're part of like the 6 months program. They see that you're paying your bills monthly on time, like your car payment, whatever. They have different, payment plans that they watch and make sure you're paying it for 6 months. They want to see that you have what you would pay monthly. Let's say the house you want to buy is $2,000 a month. They see that you can pay $2,000 every month. They see that your bank account, like you're keeping that money, and they will literally fund your entire home buying purchase.
What?
Down payment, closing costs. Look it up. It's called NACA, N-A-C-A.
Free game.
Free game. And not a lot of us know about this. I literally had a client. He was actually Ethiopian. Bought a house with $1,200 out of his pocket, something around that range. And the only cost he paid for was the appraisal. I think I told you guys $400. He paid for a home inspection, which was another $500. So we're around like $1,100. And then he paid like about $100 more for, I forget what it was. He wanted to do a termite inspection. We did a termite inspection. And that was his entire cost to buy that house. He did a NACA loan. And guess what the purchase price of this house was?
How much the house was
how much was the house? The overall cost of the house.
I would say like $100,000.
It was an $800,000 house. It was a duplex.
$800,000 house?
$800,000 house with zero money down of his own. NACA.
Nah, I'm not gonna lie to you.
It doesn't sound real, right?
That sounds crazy.
Yep.
$800,000.
$800,000.
He didn't pay a dime.
Didn't pay a dime.
He paid was it $1,200?
$1,200, which
and again,
you can make that door dashing for 2 days.
You can make that door dashing. Yo, the DoorDash commercials be killing me on TikTok, bro. You see that? They be like every like third swipe is like, do you want to be a dasher? I'm like, man, leave me alone.
Bro, DoorDash was the way I made bread, bro.
I did too. I did
back
DoorDash
in the day,
for a long
bro.
time.
Even when I was interning, bro, because I needed to make some money, like have gas money, food money. I I used to
The
DoorDash.
best was when gas
plus
was cheap.
twos,
And the plus
and
guys and the plus
the
this
plus,
guy's
bro.
hustling.
Oh my god.
Oh, and they have the promotions.
The promotion,
They like
that's
do like
raining or something.
Yeah, do like 20 of these and you get an extra $500 or something, and you be
It
like,
was
man,
ridiculous, man.
This is fire, man. Forget the dinner with Jay-Z. I got dinner with this guy. I'm about to give me some homes. I'm about to buy some real estate, man.
Zero money down, man.
Zero money down. That's insane, bro. So, there's also another misconception about age. People are like, oh, I have to have a family and be older to buy a home. What do you think about that?
Look, I would say the moment you have a decent amount for a down payment and a closing cost, and again, this is typically around the $10,000 to $15,000 range. If you're looking around the $500,000 price point, look into buying a home right away. I have a friend of mine. I just got him to buy a house. He graduated last year. So, and there's one thing too, again, no one really talks about this, and again, I'm not a loan officer, I'm not a lender, so I'll definitely connect you with one, but this is just general game. You can literally use your let's say you were in college, so typically you need 2 years of work history in order to get a loan. You can use what you majored in, let's say you majored in engineering and now you're an engineer, your 2 years in college can be counted as your 2 years of work history. And you can buy a house right away after you graduate from college. So there's different ways, but I would say, look, the moment you can purchase a house, do it. Stop renting. If you're paying, let's say right now, what's average rent in Minnesota?
Like $1,500.
Let's say you're paying $1,500 in rent. You know, every month you're chilling, you have your 2-bedroom, whatever it is. Over 12 months, over a year, that's $18,000 you've already spent, right? Let's say you're paying $2,000 a month in rent. Over 12 months, that's $24,000 you've already spent. So that money, you're never going to see it again. You lived there, great. There was roof over your head for a short period of time. It's amazing. You rented it. But that's it. That money's gone. You're never going to see. You got nothing out of it. No type of appreciation, no value. And one thing about rent you got to realize is you're paying someone else's mortgage. You're paying a mortgage already. It's just not yours. It's your landlord's mortgage. You know what I mean? Let's say I have rental properties. I don't pay my mortgage. My renters pay my mortgage.
Yeah, because what they do is like they do the whole process. They get the mortgage, and then if their payment is like $1,200, then they make a rent $2,000.
Exactly, they're pocketing that $600. That's what landlords are. That's what mortgage. You know what I mean? So you're already paying a mortgage, but you're getting none of the benefits out of it. You're not getting the appreciation. You're not getting the tax benefits.
And you don't have the potential of ownership.
You don't have ownership. You get out of renting as soon as you can. Yeah. And I'm not biased because I'm a realtor. Buy a house as soon as you can.
So then, what about interest?
Yeah.
That's always the biggest thing, right? So people have these conversations. You know, I can go to my dad right now and break it down to him, just like you broke it down to him, and then at the end be like, Muhammad, that sounds great, but what about interest? What do I do about interest?
So again, I have a lot of Muslim clients. I'm Muslim. There are banks that go around that.
Okay.
Guidance, UIF.
Write this down, y'all. Guidance, UIF.
Guidance, UIF. I forget. There's one more.
There should be a bank. There should be
Devon Bank. These are all Islamic banks, right? Okay. UIF, Guidance, Devon Bank, and there's a couple more, but those are the 3 main ones I know and have used.
And you can look it up too. Like
and you can literally Google UIF right now. They're like one of the biggest Islamic banks. Guidance. And they're interest free. Like they don't use interest. Wow. My sister just bought a house with UIF. She doesn't use interest. Her husband is really religious too. Like he wouldn't play if anything interest was involved. But there are banks that give you loans without interest. So it's definitely still an option. I will say the only thing about Islamic banks is typically they want a little bit of a higher down payment because again they're smaller. They require a little bit more money down. But you can buy a house with as little as 5% down when it comes to an Islamic bank. I think Devon Bank is probably one that still allows you to buy with 3% down or something around that range. But typically, if you're using Islamic bank, trying not to have any interest, you can go the route of UIF, Guidance with 5% down, 10% down, whatever it is, and go buy a house without having to deal with interest.
Wow. So then, if now the interest is taken care of, in a way, you kind of just helped me. I might just fuck around and buy a house.
No, seriously.
But so your credit should be somewhat good.
Credit, yeah. So credit should be somewhat good. You gotta have work history. You gotta, at least 2 years of work history. If you're W-2, 1099, again, just connect with a lender. Talk to a lender. Someone from UIF, someone from Guidance, and they'll kind of walk you through the process. And I say this, even if you're not looking to buy a house today or tomorrow, go talk to a lender. They'll tell you what you need and how to get set up for the next 3 months when you want to buy, 6 months when you want to buy. You need this. Get your credit score up here. That's how you can do that. Pay off this debt, enroll in this program, whatever it is. 2 years of work history. Go do this. Get a salary job, W-2, 1099. Like there are different things that go into it. Tax return. So just go talk to a lender. But typically, it's work history, credit score, and enough funds for like a down payment and closing costs.
Awesome. And I think ownership is so important, bro, because if you learn about the way that the Federal Reserve works in this country, we're actually in DC, so it's interesting. But we're talking about the Federal Reserve, but the way that the Federal Reserve is just the way that it is, and the way that the IRS works, and the way that cash is printed in this country, and how useless like just hard cold cash is. And how that doesn't build wealth at all in this country, that just makes it even more important that you own things. And if you are in that bracket where now you are making, because like there's people who are, mashallah, that young guys that are graduates are going to be, in software development that are going to be making 6 figures. They're going to be doctors. There's going to be lawyers. All these big things, but you're making a lot of money. But now you just have 80,000, 100,000 sitting in your bank account. That money isn't valued.
It's not doing
that
anything.
money isn't creating wealth for you at all. The reality situation is you have to own things.
Absolutely.
For you to have wealth in this country.
You have to buy assets. You have to buy assets. You have to put your money somewhere. Again, inflation is crazy right now. Your dollar is worth less by the day. Every day your dollar's sitting, it's going down in value. One thing that East Africans are good at, we have money. We have a lot of money. My dad, a lot of
They be making bread.
They have money in the bank, bro. They're supporting here, they're supporting back home. They have money. It's just sitting in the bank. They don't actually invest. That's the issue with our people, is that we have the money, but we're just keeping it in the bank. We're holding on to it. That's not the way to do it.
Or they invest in like secure things that they know about and that they understand. And like if anybody that does business and everybody that's in business knows that you have to take calculated risks.
And honestly, probably I would say the safest investment and best investment you can make is in real estate. Safest investment you can make is in real estate. So if you can go buy, obviously it starts off with having your own home and home ownership, and then after that it goes to having rental properties, passive income, having cash flow coming in. Let's say you stop working tomorrow. What happens?
It's tough.
You have 1 or 2 rental properties that bring you, $600, $400 each. At least you're living off of, $1,500 by doing nothing. Just having bought that home. Let's say you're in a tough situation. You have a rental property. You've had it for the past 5 years. It's appreciated an insane amount. You can pull out $100,000 out of it. You can cash out refi, get a HELOC loan, or just sell it. Owning real estate is literally the best way to create wealth for you and your family and generations to come. So
what is wholesaling then? Because I hear that a lot, and I hear that on TikTok, and it's kind of like a trendy thing now that's happening. So
wholesaling is like a good way and a way to get into real estate. Essentially, all wholesaling is basically you find a house that's like probably not in great condition. You find a seller. Let's say we find a house for $200,000, right? Cold calling, door knocking, whatever. It's basically just finding a deal below market value. So let's say I buy a house for $200,000, but that house is really worth like $220 or $230 or whatever it is. But to an investor, that's perfect because they can come flip that house and sell it for $500,000 or $600,000, whatever it is. So all wholesaling is finding the deal, getting a property under contract. You don't even buy the house. You just go get the property under contract for, let's say, $200,000. I sell it to the investor for $220,000, and I make that difference of $20K. That's all it is. And then the investor does their own thing. They flip the house, make their money. Everyone wins. Everyone's happy. That's all wholesaling. It's just finding a deal below market value, selling that contract. You don't buy. You literally just sell the contract, and that's it.
You need a real estate license to do that?
You don't need anything for that. Wholesaling, you don't need anything.
So what are some misconceptions about wholesaling? Because I know that there's a lot of people on TikTok saying, "Oh, it's like this crazy."
I will say biggest misconception is it's not as easy as people make it seem. It's not that easy to find a deal under market value, convince a seller to sell it, find the right buyer, investors. It's actually way harder than people make it seem. All over wholesaling. It's bullshit. Most of them are capping. Maybe they've closed 1 or 2 deals. There are some legitimate wholesalers, and they're doing this and making a lot of money, and you can make a lot of money doing it, but it's just not as easy as they make it seem. You got to find the property under market value. You got to have the right buyers. You have to know how the transaction works. Again, some people kind of don't like it and think it's a little unethical because unless you're being upfront with sellers, and some haulers are upfront, they let them know what they're doing. But for the most part, the seller just thinks you're buying the house, but you're just putting it under contract and then selling that contract. And there's ways to get around. You can do like a blind closing at title to where they don't ever see what happened, stuff like that. But sometimes like there will be cases that wholesaler will have it at settlement day when they're signing. The seller will see that the house is being sold for $220 and there's a $20,000 assignment fee and it's like $240. It's like, why am I not getting? Where's that $20,000? And then they find out it's a whole thing. I know guys have gotten sued and stuff like that. But again, it's legal. You can do it, but it's just not as easy as people make it seem. Yeah.
So we have a segment on the show called Let's Get Practical, and we try to give, let's say somebody was listening to this the entire time, they're like, wait, 30, 40 minutes in, and they're like, yo, like this is interesting, I'm interested in real estate and being a real estate agent. We want to make it practical, we want to make it accessible, and we want to make it very straightforward, so if they just watch just this, they know what steps I have to take. So if I was like, you know what, the podcast thing is going great, but I need to make some money, and I come to you and I'm like, yo, I'm trying to become a real estate agent, what should I do?
So I'm literally going to lay it out for you in every step. And again, when people DM me on Instagram, TikTok, I give them all these steps, and 99.9% of people won't do it. And just, again, to be on the bad side of things, of like being a real estate agent, 90% of real estate agents, actually 80% of real estate agents quit their first year. Most real estate agents don't sell more than 3 to 4 homes a year. Most real estate agents don't make over $30,000 to $40,000 a year. So it's not as glamorous and as money driven. It's not as crazy as it seems. But then again, if you're in that 1%, again, there's a rule in the industry: 20% of the industry does 80% of the business. Whoa. So it's just like all the top dogs, all the top realtors are doing all the business, making a lot of money.
And how do they get into that 20%?
Hustle, work. I mean, I would say almost every agent at our office, again, Samar is very picky as to who he lets into the office, but every agent that we have, I would say, sells at least 2 to 3 homes a month. Whoa. So last month, I had 6 sales. So that's 6 homes last month. A lot of the agents are like that. A lot of the agents in my office are selling $30, $20 million a year.
But it's not like that for everybody.
It's not like that for most real estate. So that's just me giving the downside of, again, it's not as easy as it seems. It's a lot harder.
And like before you get into just like how to get into real estate, I appreciate you like keeping it real like that, because a lot of people would oversaturate and overexploit and be like, it's this and it's that. But the reality situation is, if it sounds too good, and like I always tell people this too, like if it sounds too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. And if it sounds like there's minimal work and a lot of reward,
it's not gonna happen.
That's probably not true either.
Rare.
So for you to lay it out like that and say, listen, this is a hard industry to get into. This is an industry where not everybody is successful all the time. And for you to get like that, you have to have the right connections and you have to work hard. And that's commendable, because like, especially in the world that we live in right now with social media, this is going to go on TikTok and Instagram, and like people would oversaturate and be like, it's the greatest job in the world and it's this and it's that. So I want to say that I appreciate you doing that, because that's some real shit.
And that's the hype is one thing I don't like, is people just hype. Because again, I've had kids literally DM me, and out my DM, they'll show you, it's a little ridiculous. Sometimes people say, I'll have kids DM me and say, I'm dropping out of school to go to, be a real estate agent. I've seen you, inspired, I want to drop out and go to school. I tell them absolutely not. You know what I mean? I tell them, do not do that, because again, you have to see what the industry is actually like. Like, go intern at a brokerage first, see if you like it, then drop out. See what, like, again, go through the course, get your license, then drop out. Like, there's just so many different things, because again, people just make it seem way too easy, hype it up. And again, a lot of these guys are influencers, and people actually look up to them and hear them out. So I've literally had kids be like, I just dropped out of school, I want to get into real estate. And again, some of them are successful. I've had some amazing guys that I've kind of been part of their journey of like starting off, and I'm so proud of them, they're killing it. But at the same time, that's not going to happen to a lot of people. So just keeping it up, Buck. Real estate is a lot harder than people make it seem. But here's the thing. So getting into it. Getting into real estate and becoming a real estate agent is probably the easiest thing you could ever do. It costs $300 to get a real estate license. You can do it completely online, completely self-paced. ceshop.com is where you can get your real estate license. It's 60 hours. And once you pass the state and national exam, that's it. You're officially a licensed realtor. Literally $300 course. Anybody can buy that.
Pass the exam.
60 hours, yep, 60 hours. Pass the exam, that's it. You're a licensed realtor.
Does it vary different states, or is it just anywhere in the country?
So he asked, does it vary because of the states,
Different
or
states.
is it?
Yeah. So for the most part, every state maybe will have like a different. Maybe one will be 80 hours, or one will be. But typically, it's basically the same thing. You can go on ceshop.com, get your real estate license for whatever state you're in. You can pick Alabama, Texas, Minnesota, DC, wherever. They might have a little bit of a different requirement. Obviously, different laws, so different studying and stuff. But you get your real estate license online, ceshop.com, completely online, completely self-paced. You can do it at 2 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 p.m., whenever you have time. Completely self-paced. Take the exam, state and national, pass that. It's about $60 to take the state and national exam. And once you're done with that, you're now officially a licensed realtor, but you can't practice real estate until you join a brokerage. So Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker.
So you can't just do it on your own?
No, you can't. You got to have supervision. You got to have a broker managing you. Because again, the course will teach you the very basic. They'll teach you like the definition of real estate and like, you know, how much is a square feet is an acre or whatever, stuff like that. But you won't learn anything about how to actually sell real estate and do real estate. The courses won't teach you jack shit. So that's where your brokerage comes in. That's where your mentor comes in. And that's why one of the biggest things I say, if you want to become a real estate agent, it's about finding the right brokerage and the right broker / mentor, right? Or agent or whatever.
And reaching out and networking and telling people,
Absolutely.
hey, I want to do this.
Absolutely. So you can't officially practice real estate until you join a brokerage. Joining a brokerage, just breaking down the cost for you too. So there's $300 for the course, about $60 for the exam. And then once you join a brokerage, there's fees. There's like MLS fees, which is where you can search up properties and stuff. Century lock, how you can like open up properties, stuff like that. And then fees associated with the brokerage, and each brokerage is different. So I'd say about, for me at least personally, everything together was about $2,000 to get into real estate and become a real estate agent.
That's not bad.
That was, I think roughly around $2,000.
That's including the 300.
Everything. Yeah, all together. So about $1,500 and then $300. Yeah, so about $2,000 total to become a real estate agent. Now, the rest is all about learning from your brokerage. Because if you don't learn from your brokerage, or at least self-teach yourself, it's going to be really hard. You gotta learn how to negotiate. You know, how to find properties for your clients, how to get clients. It's probably the hardest part. Getting the clients is probably the hardest part, right? How to get clients, how to find deals. You know, how to negotiate, how to contract. Being a real estate agent, you're almost practicing law. You're literally, because you're doing contracts all the time, you're negotiating deals, addendums, you know, addendum clause of A, whatever, inspection clause, contract. You're dealing with contracts all the time, so you actually have to know what's on there. Because again, you're getting people to sign this. You have to be able to explain to them. You have to know what you're actually getting into.
And you want to get the best deals as well.
And you want to get the best deals, so you want to have someone that knows how to negotiate, has good sales skills, people skills. You have to learn how to talk to people, connect with people. It's a people business. That's real estate. It's really just a people business. So that's about it. Once you have your license, you join a brokerage, you can officially go out and start practicing real estate, and you're officially a licensed realtor. So that's honestly the gist of it. That's kind of like the price breakdown, about $2,000. You can literally be a realtor in about a month if you wanted to.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't think I'm ready for that just yet. I'm gonna educate myself a little bit more. But I like how accessible it is. I think that's dope. I think that's cool. But I also
that's the one thing. The barrier to entry is so low, and so everyone and their mother has a real estate license. Everyone.
Tom Cruise has a real estate license.
Everyone
Did you
has
know
a
that,
real estate license.
Did you know Tom Cruise has his real estate license?
He told me he has multiple.
He has a motorcycle license, helicopter license. He has a bunch of licenses.
Everyone has a real estate. Like,
I'm convinced the guy's a spy. He's like,
he's built different.
Yeah, he's a normal, like, you know, a human being. Like,
yeah, he's built different.
Why do you have a real estate license? That's
it's
crazy.
built different, but
yeah. So you said everybody people just
the barrier to entry is so easy. That's the issue. And there's so many realtors again. That's why a lot of them don't do well. A lot of them are just there for the hype, and they see what the real world is like. They go, I'm not doing this, and like especially this market, it's really hard to be a realtor right now. Interest rates are through the roof. You know, everyone's scared about the market, Fed, you know, everything, inflation. So a lot of realtors are going out of business. I know so many people that were in the business that just left because again. The thing about real estate too, you gotta realize is you don't make any money unless you make any sales. It's completely commission based. Yeah. So if I don't sell a house this month, I don't eat this month. So people with families or even people in general, they have bills, all this, and if you don't have any sales, you don't have any money.
What percentage do you guys make?
So So
Or it
typically you
depends?
make 2.5 to 3% of the sales price. So if you're selling $500,000 house,
That's
you can
crazy,
sell
actually.
$1 million house. Yeah, so it's really good money, obviously,
Yeah.
but it's a lot of shit ton of work that goes into it. But it's definitely rewarding if you stick with it. If you're in there to actually help people for the business of putting people in homes, finding them whatever their real estate needs are. The money definitely comes, and the money's definitely good.
Have you ever watched The Big Short?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It's a great movie to watch, honestly.
Yeah.
If you want to get an idea of real estate, inflation, market, in 2008, all that stuff.
Yeah, the whole market crash and subprime. Was it
Subprime loans. Yeah.
Subprime
And
loans.
that's one thing I want to talk about is the difference between what happened in 2008 and what's happening now, and why I don't think there's going to be a crash, and that's why a lot of real estate professionals don't think there's going to be a crash. Is back in 2008, the reason was subprime loans.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, these lenders were giving a loan to everyone and their mother.
So that they can make that profit, their percentage. Okay.
If you had a pulse, you could get a loan back in the day.
Yeah.
So everyone got a loan, and prices obviously came crashing down. People couldn't afford it. They had to go to foreclosure, short sales, all that. That's what happened. Now it's so hard to get a loan. You have to get qualified. We're not gonna have a market crash the way it was. Yeah.
So the market crash didn't happen because.
Sorry.
You good. The market crash didn't happen because of something that was happening in the market, or was it a mix of the market was bad and then it was getting oversaturated with these terrible loans?
Jesus Christ, I don't understand. Sorry.
You good. Brother's dying over here. You're just spitting so much facts that.
I was mostly the subprime loan. So obviously there was market crash happened. Home prices came shooting down. But again, a lot of people had 3 to 4 mortgages on their home. You know what I mean?
How do you get more than one mortgage on it?
So, I can very surface level. You can get basically there's different types of. So a lot of people were actually it's not even good. That's too lendery stuff. I can't explain it well enough for me to
That's fine. No, that's fine. Which is, I think, what it makes sense is the way I seen it from the movies. You have a mortgage here, and then that mortgage itself gets given to someone else, and then now you have a second mortgage.
Yeah, so
it's sold.
So they're brokers essentially. The lenders are brokers. You want to make their money. They sell the loan to Wells Fargo. There's different types of levels to the loan.
Yeah.
So they'll bundle it as a A-class loan or whatever. So there's
all these technicalities and stuff like that, but we don't have to.
I don't want to.
Now we're. I think because that happened, the industry and these banks and all that now have all these vetting systems and ways to prevent that. So that's good.
It's so much harder to get into a home now. It's not that easy.
But if you haven't watched that, I think it's a good movie. Steve Carell is in it. And he just does a great job of playing that character, and it's based off of I don't know if they were a brokerage or if they were, I don't know what they were. It was a group of guys that found out and realized the market's gonna crash, and then they ended up betting against the market.
And they're an investment firm.
Yeah, it's an investment firm, and they just felt so terrible because they're there's nothing we can do about it, and all these people are gonna lose their homes, and people are gonna lose their jobs, and they're gonna be making a shit ton of money because they bet against the market. But that was a crazy time. So. Man, I think I have a million questions. We have so much stuff that we can talk about, but we already learned so much as well, from how to stay away from interest to what you need to become a realtor, what you need to own a home, how important home ownership is, all those different things. And mashallah, you're doing your thing, and you're going to be, inshallah, successful and continue to be prosperous in this industry. And so with our show, the way that we kind of have it set up is we use it in a way to kind of hold ourselves accountable and hold our guests accountable. So, coming up in the following months, we're going to have a lot of guests that we had last year back on the show. And at the end of every episode, we kind of ask them, what are your goals for the next 2 years, next 3 years, next 5 years? An example is we had a guy on our show, one of his goals for the next 5 years, he actually accomplished it a few months after.
Wow.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
After he said it on the show, he was like, I want to do this, and that, the third. And then I just met up with him. We hung out, and they actually did it. They got it done. Yeah. And he thought it was going to take 3-4 years, you know what I mean? And that's how life works. And, Allah provides as well. So, so again, amazing time having you on the show.
Appreciate you having me. This was great. Thank you.
And thank you for coming on. So before we wrap and end, what are some things that you wanna do? What are some goals that you have long term and short term?
So I would say for me, like, life switched around so many different times that I thought I was gonna do this and that. So I will say for the next at least 2 to 3 years, I want to be the real estate source for anybody in the DMV, Florida, and anywhere I could help.
Yeah.
And just be I want to dominate the residential real estate market. I want to be the #1 realtor in the DMV area. 50 million in sales is probably, I'd say, the goal maybe in the next 2 to 3 years. And just help as many people as I possibly can. I definitely want to get a little bit more into commercial. I already do commercial, but focus a little bit more on commercial sales, so buildings, stuff like that. And then my long-term goal, at least in the next 5 years or so, is to get into development. It's one thing my mentor does, Omer Reshid. He's a developer, so he's building up apartments, condos, all this stuff. But what he does, something I really admire, is he does a lot of affordable housing, so Section 8 housing, stuff like that. So, you're building these amazing apartments and communities, but you're keeping it in the community, You're making it affordable to them, it's government paid. So at the same time, I'm providing this amazing community, this amazing apartment, this amazing, product to the community, and they get to stay in their community, and, it's not me, coming in and building, our condos.
Gentrification, basically, yeah.
But at the same time, I'm still making a lot of money because the government's paying me every month. But at the same time, so it's a win-win for everyone. So I really want to get into development, change up the community. I'm originally from Baltimore, like I told you.
Yeah.
So go back to Baltimore, hopefully do some development deals down there. Those are probably the goals for the next 2 to 5 years, inshallah.
Inshallah, and we hope that every time that we have someone on the show, they become a part of the Ghost Talk family, and we want to have you back, inshallah, in a year's time. And thank you so much for coming on the show.